Welcome to Keyframers, the animated collaborative coding livestream where we bring imaginative user interfaces to life. I'm your host, Stephen Shaw, but you may know me as @Shashaw. And that silence means that David K. Piano is not here with us. Hey, thanks for following Colorblinder. Normally, we would be together and would be coding compadres, animation amigos, Boolean buddies, and keyframe companions, but unfortunately there were some travel scheduling issues that made David not able to join us here this evening, but he may actually pop into the chat and actually into the code every now and then. Hi, open window. So there should be some interesting moments as we go. But tonight I'll be creating an animation from scratch live using HTML, CSS, and a small bit of JavaScript. This show is made possible by your support, so you can pledge at patreon.com/keyframers and subscribe at twitch.tv/keyframers. The links are available below, and you may even earn a special shout out during the stream. I'll also be happy to answer any questions you may have along the way, so reach out in the chat and we'll get those questions answered. Today no David on the actual stream, but let's take a look at what we'll ultimately be building. So this is the animation that we sent out earlier. Let me get that in the chat for you guys. For y'all. There we go. So this is Vinyl's e-commerce app by Tubic. I think we've done quite a few Tubic designs now, and that is just they make some really great stuff. So it's always good to recreate that. But there's a lot of awesome little interactions going on here. Let's bring it into GIF Scrubber and see what's happening. All right, so the kind of default state is this Vinyl browser, where when you select one, you get that nice little rollout animation, then transitions into this app state, or this details state, where it has these nice turntables down here at the bottom. And those turntables then transition up with this nice 3D effect and pop up just like that. Beautiful. Hey, thanks for hosting us. So tonight I'm actually going to be focusing primarily on this vinyl effect, and making that with just CSS to make that kind of 3D open clamshell effect. So why don't we get started? Uh-oh. Why is there a David in the chat? What's going on here? Oh dear. Oh well. Oh well. That's disconcerting. Alright. Well, so if you're unfamiliar with good gravy. with 3D CSS, this will be a great little overview for you. If you can follow along with all these spooky updates here. Oh dear. Let me go ahead and pull some color. What is it? Color slurp. Get in here. Alright. Just go ahead and pull that background color over. Oh dear. Hey. Get away. There we go. Alright. Got a nice background there. Hey. Stop that. Alright. So for the turntable, going back to the original animation, we've got two main pieces. We've got the base and we've got the top. So we'll actually be making both of those. They're basically both cubes, or 3D rectangles. Is there a term for that? I don't know. Rectangular prism. Sure. Yeah, we'll go with that. A plane is just a flat surface. It usually won't have any kind of depth or anything like that. So let's just start out with a dot prism, and in that we'll have side times 6. Oh, nope, that's not what we want. We want dot side times 6, and this is emit that I'm using, just a kind of text expansion thing here that gives us the ability to quickly create HTML elements. Let's do top, bottom, left, right, front, and back. Oh dear. Well, that's... Hi there, David. All right, so let's get all this, get out of here. There we go. All right, so let's say for our prism, we want a few setup pieces here. So one of the first things we'll do is setting transform style preserve 3D, and we'll do that. We'll give our body a perspective so that all of our 3D elements can be adhering to this same perspective there. And then for each of our sides, let's go side, position absolute, top 0, left 0. Let me see. Go ahead and for right now, just say width 100%, height 100%. We'll start off making a straight up cube. Let's do that. And then we'll give each of our borders, each of our sides border, just so we can see what's going on. Okay, perfect. We've got a cube, kind of. So if we actually move this, transform, rotate X 45 degrees, rotate Y also 45 degrees. Well, we don't have much of a cube. It's just kind of one flat plane right here. So what we actually need to do is move each of those sides off into... Hey. Vmax, yeah. See, David, what you do is 1M, and then font size 5 Vmax. Boom. And that can probably be more like 20 for now. Thanks. You're so much more agreeable when I'm the only one with a microphone. All right, so we've got our sides, but we do need to set transform style preserve 3D on these as well. And then this is where I'd like to, let's do top and bottom. So these will share some styles. Do left and right. These will also share some styles, and then front and back will share some styles. Let's see. What's the typical axis colors 3D? let's see. Okay, so green is typically the y-axis, z-axis is blue, x is red. So why don't we say left and right will be background red, top and bottom will be background green, front and back will be background blue. We'll give all of these just a slight opacity so we can see what's happening. Let me move myself over a little bit too so we get some nice evenness. Okay, so not much happening here, but I think we can get this going by doing simple the meh emoji. So wonderful. Let's do some CSS variables. So let's do Z is going to be our movement out, because the basic way that we'll do the 3D cube is by oh goodness, that haunting face. The basic way we'll do the 3D sides is by having each side rotate a specific direction and then move out in that direction. So for example, let's say we add a rotation in here, rotation, and this will rotate to by default. And then let's just go ahead and say transform var rotation, and then translate Z calc var Z divided by 2. And the Z is going to be divided by 2 because it's all starting from the center and they're moving out from there. And I'll show how that looks. So for top and bottom, let's say we'll move all our rotations down here. Top, whoa, and top, bottom, left, right, front, and back. Let's see, that's rotation. So let's see. For top and bottom, we're going to be doing those along the y-axis. Where's my mouse? There we go. Okay, good. Thanks for those labels, David. Appreciate that. So let's do 180 degrees there. And this will be rotate y 0. That's our back. Let's actually make that rotate x like that. And then, yeah, feels a little bit better. Okay, and then left, we'll do rotation, rotate y 90 degrees. Rotation, rotate y negative 90 degrees. And my labeling might be a little off here. Oh, that's right. This should actually be x. Rotate x 90 degrees and negative 90 degrees. And then for front, we do rotate y 0 degrees and rotate y negative 180 degrees. Okay, that looks about right. Let's get a little bit of spinning happening so that we can see all the sides of our cube. Rotate cube. Let's do 20 seconds. Oh dear. animation, keyframes, rotate cube. Do y'all like it when I just narrate the things that I'm typing, or do you actually want me to type things out, or say different things than what I'm typing? Giving it an infinite loop, and we'll do alternate, and we'll go to transform, rotate X, we'll do 45 degrees so we can see the bottom, rotate Y, what is 360 plus 45, 405, so sure, 5 degrees. Alright, 20 seconds is a bit long. Let's see. Hey, that feels pretty good. Alright, so we have a perfect cube. But thanks. Yeah, a perfect cube is great, but our turntable is not a cube. It's that rectangular prism. So we need a better way of arranging these layers a little bit. So one of the things I like to do is use some CSS variables for this. So let's see. Let's do width. Well, actually, we can set these up here on the prism. Do width. Let's do 2m. Height 1m, and then depth is about 2m. That should be even. And then down here on our sides, we'll do width, var width, height, var height. And let's see how that breaks things. Okay, so we have them all sized the same, but that's not quite what we need. So let me see. I keep losing my mouse. So left and right, these are actually going to be width or depth. Let's see. So side right, yeah, those are the same. And then front and back are the same there. Let's see. Top and bottom should actually be width, var width, and then height, var depth. Okay. And this actually leads to some centering issues, so that's why I've got that here. I know David's gonna fight a little bit on this, but for now, let's get that in place. Okay, so we have most of the sides kind of aligned, but our the movement of the layers is not going out to the edges, so we actually need to adjust that Z for each of the layers. So for Z, here we do var height, and that should stay the same. But for left and right here, we'll do Z var width. Okay, see we've got them moved out to the edge there. And then for front and back, we'll do the same, but we'll use depth because they should be moving on that Z. Thanks, David. Yeah, the record should be spinning, not the record player. But this gives us all one place that we can just go back and change the size, and all of our layers are adhering to that. Yeah, there we go. So if we want to emulate the kind of bottom of the record player there, it's pretty small. Probably make this one. I don't know. Yeah, those variables are super handy. Let's go ahead and make that 2 because does that feel right? That looks about right. For that, it might even be skinnier. Okay. So yeah, let's label this turntable top, and then we can go ahead and copy this and do turntable bottom. On the top, we're not going to have a record. Just have that. Oh geez. Okay, our rotation actually needs to move up to turntable so that everything can move together. And we need to make sure we do transform style preserve 3D there. There we go. All right. And these, I don't know, we can probably set them to position absolute as well. Left 0. And then let's override our styles here for turntable top, side, color, background color. This would be, let's do kind of a nice smoky gray. And I think they're just overlapping each other. So we'll do turntable top, translate what, transform, translate y. Let's just do that. It helps if you spell your selectors correctly. There we go. Okay. So prism. Yeah, we should actually do some other variables most likely. Let's do this as vmin, so everything's nice and contained there. And then, okay, so this is what our turntable top will be. Let's just default these to that. And then for turntable top, we can set that. And then turntable bottom will set to that. So this can actually be height 1em. That's probably too much. Let's do 0.8, and then altogether it'll be 1em. This will do translate y var height. But we need to calc that -1 times var height. It does seem to be translating a bit too much. So let's do height divided by 2. Or just do some magic numbering. 0.6. -0.6. -0.5? Sure. Need to offset by half of the bottom height too. Yeah. Turntable top, bottom, display, none. Do that too. That helps. Thanks, Alka. Yeah, so this would be this height minus, no, yeah, magic numbers to the rescue. Yeah, I'm not sure. 5, 5. Oh, nope, 4, 5. Yes. So David's talking about pivoting. Let's go ahead and disable the rotation here, and let's see what we're looking at to start out with. We can probably set no. We want to leave the X on, and then 0 rotation Y here. Get that nice effect. Okay. Can actually do it off to the side, just so we can see what'll happen here when we. Is there a reason our full top is not fully transparent? It seems very. Oh, you set the opacity 1 there. Yeah, I'm just overriding that. Let's see. We'll do. What did you set that? Okay, do the color wood. We'll do that down here. Dot side, background, color. There we go. So we get all of those, and then we can do our opacity here for this. Opacity 0.5. Clean that up. Clean that up. And then up here, we'll remove our opacity. All right. How about that? It's looking a bit like a record player. All right. So now we need to figure out a little bit. Okay, my dimensions are a little bit off. It's actually wider than it is deep, so that's an easy adjustment. Down here with our CSS variables, we can do depth 2 or depth 1, 1. That's not quite the right ratio. 1.5, 1.5, something like that. Our record is just a little too big. That's an easy adjustment because that can be based off depth instead of width. Ta-da! Okay. So let's figure out how to make it open up like a clam. Because you're not going to be able to put the record you want on there if it's closed. So let's just, for fun, transform, rotate Y, -45 degrees. Nope, it's got to be rotate X. Yeah, there we go. 45 degrees. Right? So they're overlapping. And this is because everything is aligned to the center of the object. We do this and this. And then, oh, no, that's not. We say here instead, transform origin top center. That only does part of it. translate Z. Let's just hard code some numbers here. So this should probably be depth. But gotta include the right amount of parentheses for some reason. I guess we don't actually need to translate it back. It's okay. Oh, no, we do. Sorry. Could just be our depth. Divided by 2. Oh. Helps if you wrap things in calc. Do this as 0.5. Nope. All right, David. Transform origin. Yeah, that should be just center, center. Uh, 0.5. All right. Transform origin to the rescue, but transform origin on what is the question? Because David sent me a small example earlier. Move over here so you can see it. This was David's setup for it. Transform origin, top, center. Of course, but I think my alignment is a bit off. So one thing we can do here is on our turntable, set an outline, red, see? You can do a third value and transform origin. Oh, what's that right? Just a moment here. Let's see, transform origin, top, center, 1M. I think you're onto something there. But this should be calc -1 times var depth. And let's turn our rotation back on here. Does that look easy to you? Oh man. Let's actually do animation of the opening. Animation, open, close, 5 seconds, linear, alternate, infinite, keyframes. Comment that line out. So let's see. Good gravy. Rotate. There we go. Okay, I actually need to set this to var. Nope. Calc var height 5 by 2. center, height, kind of, depth by 2. Oh, that's so close. All right. That's pretty good, but definitely not exactly right. What am I missing here? This needs maxillofacial surgery. Do I want to know what that is? That where you align the jaw? Yeah. Let's see. Would be height. The height that I want. Let's see. Let's do that here as well. -2. That's not it. Good grief. Okay. Transform origin can be 3D. I know, David. That's what I'm doing. Come down here and see. 173. You come here. Yeah, just for some reason not getting the alignment quite right. So let's do a little pseudo element. Content, position, absolute, width, and height, pixel, border, solid 1 pixel red. Okay, so should this be height 5/2? I know I've done that before. Should be, is that, it's basically what we had before, just with the more appropriate variable. Let me see. Oh, I think I know what it is. Width and height are actually not being set on the turntable, the prism here. So the width is actually much larger than the element itself. So there we go. You can see how the red outline there is now more appropriately aligned. Let me take this off. Our height divided by 2. And then that was why the turntable top alignment was off, because, yeah, here we go. Good gravy. Is this running slow for anyone else, or is that just me? Whoa, David, are you adjusting my? Oh, I guess that's due to the new alignment of that. Oh dear. Oh, Canada. Oh man, that is very interesting. Okay, height divided by 2. take off the open close and go ahead. Okay, so the alignment there is right. If I do that, that's not quite right. Transform origin. 1.8, sure. 1.9. 0.8. That's just going to make it lower and lower. 1.5. That's just throwing it all off, isn't it? 2.5. Nope. Well, I can live with that. It's at least doing it appropriately. Okay. Hey, thank you for subscribing, Meowls. Great name. That is a Twitch Prime subscription, by the way, which if any of you have Amazon Prime out there, you can subscribe here on Keyframers. I believe there's a link right up there. Whoa, yeah, hype it up. And if you do that, it supports us, and it actually costs nothing to you. If you have Amazon Prime and are interested in supporting us, that is a great way to do it. So just click up there for Prime Twitch subscription. All right. So my sides, okay, this prism outlined. Okay, so they're not centered, which is always the issue, isn't it? 50%, top 50%, left 50%, margin, calc -1 times var width divided by 2. That'll be for the left, and then for the top needs to be our height divided by 2. This gets everything aligned when you're not overwriting and not breaking things. Beautiful. Okay, but now now my alignment is off. Where did that? Does it need to be the full height? Oh, good gravy. Should it be depth divided by 2, width height divided by 2? I think that might have been. Oh my goodness. David, what have I done? Oh, hey. Should be a rectangle, not a square. Yeah. Alright. Let's see. -1. And then this just regular depth divided by 2. Oh, good gravy. Getting all sorts of fun alignment issues. And this is why a GUI is very helpful for these kinds of things, because you can just move it and find those magic numbers rather than trying to code all of those magic numbers by yourself. It's full depth. Right, divided by 2. Just height. Oh, lovely magic numbers. What in the world? All right. Where's my alignment issue, David? Let's get Canada out of here. All right. So transformed from the edges, not the center. You're probably right about that. Ay, ay, ay. Height. Where's my animation? Oh, let's do that as from instead. Leave that in place. All right. Yes. So what I should have done is, instead of moving those layers out, let's disable this really quick, go back up to our prism setup code, and then set only the Z on front. Move that down here, and then left and right will both have Z there. Top and bottom have Z there. Oh, good gravy, stop spinning. Making me sick. Transform, rotate, transform back. Yeah, that's what I originally tried, but that was not ideal there. Okay, let's see. So, yeah, I hate to just scrap it at this point. 0. Let's see. Okay. So let's do depth. Where did I go? Back here, we'll do depth times 2 in a calc. Yeah, but that offsets everything. All right, so we're not doing that. Let's just work with what we got and be happy with it. All right. Transform origin. Where did you go? Did I mess up something on there? Okay, so my alignment is off from here. Thanks, Thunder Nerds. It's very fun to debug these small annoying issues that it's something that I offset there. 3, 5, is that 3, 4, right, 4, 5. Oh, jeez. Okay. All right, so there, our alignment is correct. Now, let's go down to the 3D transform origin here. Disable our animation, because we don't want to do that. Our height divided by 2. Our depth divided by 2. Good gravy. Okay. Let's see how that looks, opening and closing, so we can get a better idea of, wow. Okay, so that's starting super low. Goodness. All right. Let me stop this, because that's making me sick. Okay. Come back down. It is way down there. That's not what we want. Want -1? No, because that's moving it from the top. Oh. good gravy. Okay, so I'm overriding the translate Y here of moving it into the proper position, and then changing that rotation. So let's try this before we do any of this other stuff. Okay, and then do this divided by 2 plus 1, but that should be full height, perhaps. Times 2. Nope. Depth divided by 2. Bingo. Check it. Okay. So, kids, stay in school, study math, and, you know, stick with it. Good gravy. All right. So, there you go. Easy as pie. That is the number pi, and calculating all the digits of it. That is how easy it is. Okay. Math does help. Yes. Yes, I'm sure those symbols mean something mathy. So if you pay attention in school, you can know what that means. Okay. So one thing I wanted to do before wrapping it. So we've got our nice transition here where it kind of opens up in the clamshell, but it's also tilting up as well. And we've got this beautiful arm and record that David created. How did you actually create that depth of the record? Let me see. Where's our record? All right. Let's get that sectioned off into its own deal. Oh man. Okay, so for the record, you've got the pseudo element, the afters, moving down. They're just a little bit bigger. Now what's happening? Okay, so let's say let's go down here and do our fun transition all point seconds cubic Bezier 0.5 0.5 1. Then disable our animation here. And oh man, it's not actually animating there. But we can do what we can do is this is the default state, and then turntable hover, and David, I think, is giving us some shading with CSS variables. Whoa, what did I do? Check it. Let's go ahead and set overflow hidden. I'm getting a scroll bar down at the bottom for some reason. Okay, great. Hovering does it. So let's see. David's setting a shade here. So I think you need to be setting those up here around line 84. Because top and bottom should be shade 0 or shade 1. I don't know. Okay, so got a little hover happening here. And what we can also do is hover here from turntable. And let's move. It's not nearly as impressive from the front, is it? Turntable. And then, and hover. There we go. All right, so turntable, we want to start out rotated just a little bit. Let's not do the rotate Y, because we want it to be kind of at that angle a little bit. And let's lessen this angle. Cool. That's pretty close there. Could probably be a little lower. And then transform that. We'll do something like 65, just to play with that. You messing up my... The height of that can change. I just need to make this actually dependent on that. Oh, good gravy. And then our top could actually rotate quite a bit more to give it that exposed look. There we go. Not bad. Not bad. Okay, the needle base here, translate, that should probably be, let's see, background color, okay, should be -5, something like that. That is pretty sweet, isn't it? Transform, translate Z, 1 pix. You always run into weird little clipping issues if things are on the same plane. So you gotta make sure that you override them a little bit. Okay, so this is bugging me a little bit. I do want turntable top to be set by the variable here, so let's see, I think that's just translate Y calc -1 times bar height divided by 2 divided by 2.5 divided by 1.5 1.6. And then in theory, if we change the height here to be a little bit less, that magic number doesn't actually work. So I guess that doesn't really help all that much. Yeah. Translate Y. Translate Y. Alright, so with our turntable, we now have the opening closing animation. And you can't even see the sides. All those sides we spent time on trying to get looking just right. Let's do 2.5 there. Yeah, it's a little more subtle. And then border, color wood. But we can do darken 10%, something like that. And we'll do the same up here. This 888. Hey. Oh, David. Are you CSS var those, David? Let's see what he says. No border. See, I just want a subtle little border there, David. Just the subtlest of subtle borders. What if, David? Hear me out. Hear me out. Okay, where are we at? The side. 2x. See, that just gives it the tiniest of. Oh, good gravy. Oh, the resizing. Oh, that's amazing. One of the byproducts of transition all. Wow. Okay, so what are you doing with the shade variable, by the way? I didn't see where you actually implemented that. Opacity var shade important. Oh, okay. So you're just doing an overlay there. I get it. You are adding so many pseudo elements in here, David. Oh, good. Good gravy. What? Is there a point to the eyeball? Oh, gosh. The resizing is just, it's too perfect. Okay, let me see. Now, okay, what are we at? We're right at an hour. Now, I was thinking of maybe implementing some controls to just allow you to spin the turntable with, oh, good gravy, that's creepy. With some inputs. Does anyone care to see that, or just want to wrap it up? What do you think, David? Add some input controls. Input type equals range. Free range inputs. Play some audio when it opens. That would be a good touch. Not controls. Position fixed. Top 0, 0. Display flex. Justify content center. All right. So my invisible assistant, David, has created the basics needed here. So what we're going to do, input type equals range, min equals 0, max equals 1, step equals 0.01, something like that. All right, let's see. Value should start at 0, and then let's say this. Const L turntable. Document.query selector turntable. Yep, there we go. L turntable style set property. This will be rotation. Yeah, we'll do that. And then up here, and let's do actually rotate X. And then back up here, we can set our turntable to transform, rotate, that's actually rotate Y. Ugh. Rotate Y. Do rotate Y, 0 degrees by default, and then rotate Y calc. Actually, it'll just be calc 1 degree times var rotate Y. And a few extra parentheses for good measure, and then what? Oh, should this be just 0? Okay, let me console.log the value so we can see what's happening here. Ah, good gravy. Ay. Okay. This can just be lrange.value. Bauhaus, the sky's gone out. I actually haven't heard that. Let's see. Take Y. Okay, we're getting the proper range. Oh, that's right. Yeah, it needs to be. So this actually needs to be, let's say, 180 degrees times var rotate Y. And then, aha, that's it. 360, do that, get rid of that value. I see. Let's hear that beautiful Bauhaus music.
Life is but a dream.
The army surplus bag around your skinny waist.
Oh, yes. How's that classic final
It's
feel?
cold.
Dig it. Yeah, there we go. So we've got a slider for you to turn the turntables. And we can dress that up a little bit. But I was also going to add one. Let's do, okay, so this ID equals rotate Y. And then we'll do another one for open. And then down here, we'll do this as rotate Y. Rotate Y, update all that, rotate Y. That, and then copy all of that. And here for undoing equals open, proper setup, open, and open. And then what we can do here is just setting turntable top to open. Oh, that needs to be on turntable here. Open 0. And then this would be open calc degrees times var open. Let's see if that does it. Gotta add a parentheses, of course. Probably don't want it a full 180 degrees, maybe 90 degrees. Give you some control there. And then we'll also want to offset that here. And go ahead and take off the hover for now. Transform, rotate X, -60 degrees, rotate Y, 0 degrees. Oh no, that's not what we rotate Y, rotate X. Should be calc -65 degrees times var open. Another. Go. Right. What am I? Oh, of course I'm overwriting it down below. So, yeah, there we go. But we want this to be -15 degrees plus -50 degrees times var open. And that way it starts out at least partially angled. And then this, we probably want to be a little bit less than 90 degrees. Looks a little silly when it's all the way open. David, you threw off all my alignment. What are you doing? Now the transform origin, that doesn't need to be. Yeah. Okay. Do the sound effects help? Is that enjoyable? Let's get David's political agenda out of here. And then go ahead and take off our transitions so we can see more of a real-time update here. Pretty cool. But these need a bit of. Let's do this as rotate Y, fixed, right, 0, margin auto, and then is that display block. Block. Why are you not working? Left 50%. Transform, translate X, -50%. That'll do it. And then for open, we'll do position fixed, right, 0, transform, rotate, 90 degrees. -90 degrees. And then controls we can probably move inside of turntable here. Oh, David's getting all fancy and adding a shadow. Okay, let's do position absolute on these. Left 100%, left 120%, 30%. Oh. Oh yeah, that's let's add a container there. Does anybody collect vinyl out there? I used to have a pretty sizable collection. Pared down a little bit now. Top, bottom 100%. Bottom 100. David's code to fix. Bottom. Anything? Let's get these indexes. Why does that not want to move out? Top auto. Negative 100%. Why does it not want to move out? Move out. Don't mess around. Sure, why not? It's added a nice, beautiful shadow in there. Oh, David, were you adding those eyes so that I could go nom 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 with it? I assume that was the purpose. Okay. Whoa. Let's get that out of here. Do some little cleanup here. And then I did want to do kind of an intro animation to it. And then it'll just end on the proper state. What does it need to be? Oh, David, I think your shadow's a little off there. It needs to be translate wide down. Good grief. Okay. Does turntable even need the width and height? Yeah, it probably does. That could probably be set up a little bit better, but I'm not going to go back and do that at the moment. I have no idea what David is doing here. Let's see, go back to the original. That's pretty nice. Okay, so I'm gonna set up a quick animation for the intro here. turntable. Animation intro 4 seconds. Here. 0.5. Oh, 0.5, 0, 0.5, 1. David's favorite. Animation fill mode backwards. Go 0.5 second delay. Keyframes intro. And what we'll do is go from a specific setup, because this will allow us to end on our exact calced. Let's do negative 65 degrees, and then this will do negative 360. And we'll get, hopefully, a nice fancy little eye-catching intro. Let's do this a little bit more. Yeah, looks rather nice. Do this a little bit less. Like that. Okay, and then we'll also do the same thing for our turntable top here. But just doing the intro up top. Oh, we'll do animation inherit. Animation name, intro top. And animation inherit just allows us to not have to repeat all of those properties and make things a little more straightforward. And then rotate X here. We can go from the open state, right? Of course, it helps if you spell things properly. Yeah, there we go. Just a nice little animation. Why? Let's do that and that. Feels a little too dramatic now. I think that should maybe be 40. And then, what am I looking for? Turntable itself, which maybe be 20. Yeah, that feels a lot better. Okay, awesome. And then we can also do a quick animation for controls, but controls aren't within that. So let's do let's try this on container. Transform style, preserve. And then we can do controls, turntable, animation inherit, animation, oh, good gravy, animation name. Okay, and then for controls, we can do animation name, fade in, but that's not how you declare an animation. Keyframes, fade in 0%, 80%, opacity 0. Yeah, and then we get the controls in place when the animation is done, and then what else was there to do? Okay. Anything we're missing, David? Anything else you'd like to do? It looks like you gave up on the shadow. Did you did you run into some trouble there? Where did your shadow go, David? You center transforming fool. Hey. If there's one thing that's easy in CSS, it's centering, okay? Where's your shadow? Div class equals shadow. Rotate X is not right. Okay. Rotate X, -90 degrees plus open times 90 degrees. Should that be rotate Y, perhaps? Alright, I'm going to disable animation really quick. To not leave shadows, sure. Okay. Rotate, shadow, rotate. Just keep it simple right now. Rotate Y, rotate Z, rotate X. Transform, style, preserve, 3D. Rotate Z, rotate Y. What did you do to this, David? Okay, let me go back up to my bottom. It should be rotate X. That's centered. Transform. Translate. -50%. 50%. Got it. The center now. Rotate X. Not working. Did I misspell preserve 3D? Transform style preserve 3D. Ooh. I see it. Does the rotate X not want to work? Let's do this to start out. U equal 0.5. Oh, but that doesn't change that. So let's do style equals rotate Y 5. Bye, David. Thanks for your help. No, that did add a lot of nice touches. I'll just be finishing up the shadow here, and then do a quick overview. I don't know what you did to break this, David. All right, get out of here. Get these things out. Okay, there we go. All right, so why is this shadow not rotating? You tell me. Okay, rotate X 90 degrees. Should put it in the proper place, but it is not. Rotate Y. Does nothing. Rotate Z. That does nothing. Okay, what is it about our top and bottom rotation that works while that does not? Let's do that. Do that. Make sure David didn't override any styles there. Okay. Rotate. Let's just rotate X. Okay, there we go. Okay, something was off that. Okay. Translate -50%. 0. Okay, beautiful. I think the only issue was, at least towards the end there, the only issue was lack of I was not properly inserting the variables there, or I wasn't properly doing the translate because I had a translate 3D with several parameters. That's not the way it works. That be 90 plus bar open times -90. Not quite. That should probably only be like 20 degrees or something. By adding I don't know. What do you think? Feels pretty good to me. I think going to add in the animation again real quick, and then we'll move into our favorite portion of the show. Okay, let me get that all queued up. Okay. Does that do anything? Does that do it? Visible and everything. What's your... Oh, come on. Well, the Keyflections animation is not working, but imagine we're now moving into Keyflections, a quick review of the techniques used to build this animation. If you have any questions, go ahead and ask in the chat as I walk through these things, and I'll be happy to answer. If you've enjoyed watching us so far, you can follow and subscribe here on Twitch or at youtube.com/keyframers, or you can pledge to support us each month at patreon.com/keyframers, and that's a big help to us. The links are available below, so definitely do that. All right, so let's go back to the original animation here. Vinyl's e-commerce app by Tubic, a nice app animation with lots of state transitions and everything. We'll go more into those next week. This week we're mainly focused on this beautiful little turntable transition where it opens up and gives that nice little opening 3D effect. So that's what we've built here. Let's get this not on auto updating, but on run so that we can see our intro animation here and look at the beautiful setup we've got here. So we've recreated the turntable with 3D CSS. And that is done a few different ways. So first off, the turntable has two different pieces, the top and the bottom. And these are both rectangular prisms. So it's a 3D rectangle of sorts. And that each of those prisms has 6 sides, like a cube, and each of those sides is given a label: top, bottom, left, right, front, and back. And same for the turntable bottom. It's got a top, bottom, left, right, front, back, but the bottom has a few extra pieces to it to give us the record effect there. And thank you for following Solo Techno. Glad to have you. All right, so those 3D setup pieces are here. Let's do container transform style preserve 3D up here. And what this does is it gives us that 3D effect running throughout all of the layers, so that they're all using this same perspective on the body here. So that's that setup there. For the turntable, we've got that preserve 3D, and then a font size of 20v min that just gives us the scaling here. There's the alert 20 minutes later. Thanks again for following Solo Techno. Okay, prism. So these are centered. We've got them top left with margin, so that everything is in the center of this turntable, and then the width and the height are actually set by these CSS variables here. We can take that off. This is just kind of the default there, but we can take those off too. Let me make sure everything is fine before. Okay, great. So having these CSS variables, individual ones for width, height, and depth, allow us to actually change the size of our rectangular prism. If we were just doing a cube, we would just need one value and to set the size of the cube, or we could just use 1em for all of that, like we have there. But by having these CSS variables down here, past, record, and all of that, for turntable top, we have width 2, and that gives us the nice wide base. For depth, we have 1.5, which it gives us kind of that rectangle, so it's not the same width and depth. And then for height, we have the top at 0.5, and then the bottom at 0.2. And so that gives us the nice skinny base there, and yeah, allows us to have them stacked like that. So how do we actually get all of those sides moving out in 3D space? Well, each side is position absolute, centered, just like we had before, with transform, translate, -50%, -50%, and then the width and height are set based on the width and height variables. At least initially, they will be overwritten in certain sides. We've given them a slight border just so you can help you see the edge of them. And then we also have some variables here for the rotation, and this is going to determine where that side goes. So the rotation is going to set the actual rotation of that side, which is then moved out based on the z variable. So the rotation happens here, so rotate y 0 and this by default, and then translate z, it's moved out z divided by 2, and that's because it's all center based, so we want it to move out only half, because the opposite side will be also moving out the opposite way, like that. And then the pseudo element there is just for a little bit of shading. We could go in and tweak that a little bit. For these, we actually probably do want a little bit of shade. Do shade 0.2, shade 0.2, something like that. And that doesn't work. Opacity or shade, it's really important. Oh, because we don't have auto update on, so there we go. So now you can see that. We'll probably lessen those just a little bit, because they don't need to be that thick. And then where did David set it? Down here. Yeah, let's take that off, so we don't need that. All right. So each of those sides is sized a little bit differently. So for top and bottom, we want those rectangles. They're just flat rectangles. We want them set to the width and the depth, because they're going to be the top. So the width is just the same width. The height is actually the depth, because we want it to go that way. And then the z variable is going to be the height. So that's how high we want it to go up and down. And then left and right, those are going to be the sides. So the width of those should be the depth of the cube. The height is already set. We can take that width off there. And then the z for the left and right side is the width, because we want them to go off to the sides. And then the front and back, they're already sized appropriately because they're going to be the size of the container. And then the Z variable for that is just going to be the depth because we want them to move in this space. So then top and bottom are actually rotate X, which gives them this style rotation. If you have any questions along the way, please stop me and I'll explain a little bit further. Top and bottom rotate X, which makes them like this in the 3D space, and then that Z variable pushes them apart in opposite directions because top and bottom are rotated the opposite ways, -90 degrees. And then left and right, same premise, but with the Y rotation, so they're moved out this way. And then front and back, it's also rotate Y, and it's just basically shifting them this way. Front and back, top and bottom. There we go. So that's the basic idea there. And then David started working on shadow and got that in there. Nothing too fancy with that. It's just a box shadow with that with the same 3D rotations happening, and that's all there is to that. The record David also set up. These are just a couple of 3D pseudo elements, or 3D elements with pseudo elements to give some additional layering and depth. He set up the needle base over there in a similar sort of way. The shaping of them is just based on the border radius and positioned into place. All right, so going back to the turntable top and bottom. So again, this is the bottom, this is the top, the kind of clear top, and the wooden bottom. The turntable top is set to the right width and height, and then we don't want to display the bottom side for the top because we want it to, close down over our record to protect it. And then the sides are, the color for the sides is set here to give us that translucent gray kind of look. It's fine. Man, I wish I had a wood texture handy, because that would be easy to add as just a background image on here on the sides. Always gotta desaturate a little bit too. Desaturate 10%. Not enough. Desaturate 50%. Yeah, better. Just real subtle lines is all we want for that, just to give it a little bit of body. If we take off the if we take those off, it still looks fine, but definitely feels a lot nicer with it. I'm going to go ahead and move all this up so that it's a little more logically grouped here. Take that off because we set that up above like we should have. Okay. Cool. All right. So let's go into how the controls work. I'm just doing that real quick. So we have two input type equals range with a minimum of 0 and a maximum of 1. And this gives us just a value from 0 to 1, with 0 being all the way left or bottom, and 1 being all the way at the top, with the starting value of 0. And then our JavaScript really couldn't be simpler. I'm gonna drive David crazy with the formatting here. So for each input type equals range, we have we have the query selector getting the element, adding an event listener of input. That's basically just when the value is being inputted. And range is a little bit weird. I think the change event doesn't happen in quite the same way. A change might wait until you're done setting the value. I forget the specifics of that. But regardless, so we're getting the value here, which we can just set this directly. No need for kind of intermediate variable here. I always like trimming things down when I can. I know David has his reasons for all that, but yeah, he needs it. So whenever those are updated, whenever the input event triggers, we're setting the CSS variable for that. So you get that nice. Hey, is that not Z indexed enough? Should be index 20. Z index 20. That's right. Let's just move that out a little bit more and see how that goes. Good. Could probably actually move that down to the bottom. That might feel a little bit better. Same issue. Let's move down more. Let's do that. And it's one of those instances where that X. Oh. Translate Y. Right. Oh dear. It's too much. Not sure why those aren't, but you know what? We can just do pointer events none. Get that guy out of here. You don't need that in the mouse flow. Yeah. Yeah, that feels nice. And in theory, the move this up here. Sorry, this is all minor tweaks, but it definitely helps in the end. Sure, feel good. All right, so we have those variables being set through this JavaScript. Now going back down here to line 151, turntable, rotate Y, and open Y are set here just as a default, and then our rotate X of the turntable, that's again going to be kind of this direction, goes from -20 degrees to -60 degrees by doing a calc with the open var. set here. So we can see when open is 0, we're just at negative 20 degrees. When open is at 1, we're at negative 60 degrees because we've got negative 20 times, or plus negative 40. That's where that goes. And then the rotate Y is right here, where we could do this in some different ways, so that 0.5 would be center, and then you could rotate it those ways. But right now, it just spins all the way around and all the way back. And then when you open it up, it gives an even better 3D effect. There we go. All right, so the intro animation, let's go over that really quick. On the container, I'm just spinning that. Let me change a quick value here. Moving it from that value. Go. So it gives us the spin, and then the controls are on a fade in animation, and then the turntable top is coming from the full open position down into the closed position. Right, that's basically it. Oh yes, the turntable top is also using that open variable, which I need to move that here to be just a little more logical. Awesome. Okay. Well, that's basically it. If you have any questions, go ahead and ask, because I'll start closing it down here. Just make sure there's no final little tweaks to make. I think so. All right. Well, I'll bring this to a close then. Get some music in here. Beautiful. You've been watching Keyframers, the animated collaborative coding live stream where we bring imaginative user interfaces to life. If you've enjoyed this episode and would like to see more from David and I, especially when David is actually on the screen and not just typing, there are many ways you can support us. You can subscribe and participate in the live streams here each week on Twitch at twitch.tv/keyframers. You can also like and subscribe at youtube.com/keyframers, where we have all of our archives that you can find. Go back and view past episodes, see some of the techniques we've used here tonight in a little bit fuller detail. You can also tweet at us and spread the word at twitter.com/keyframers. That's a great place to interact with us and just give us a shout out. You can also pledge to support us at patreon.com/keyframers, and that is a huge support to us and keeps us going month to month. We also do accept submissions for future episodes, so be sure to tweet at us at Keyframers with any animations you'd like to see made. You can also present questions and or challenges, and we'll try to respond to those on the air. And do be sure to share this video and the demo across social platforms. Those links will be available shortly, so follow us on Twitter to get those. So yeah, we'll be resuming this next week to build out the rest of the Vinyls e-commerce app with all of those fancy transitions, and we'll integrate our little turntable here to make that pop open. So that's all for tonight. Thank you so much for joining me. Until next time, adios amigos.